I'm not a fan unless I have a podcast. I'm not a fan unless I have a podcast. I'm gonna talk with fans. He's gonna talk with fans about a favorite band.
Hey everyone, welcome to I'm Not a Fan Unless I Have a Podcast. I'm John Hanford, and we are starting to do a few repeat episodes or repeat guests for these new episodes. I am still, on my road trip at the time that this is coming out, and it's I imagine that this trip is going great. Be sure to check my story on Gizz Fan Pod on Instagram if you want to see, some cool shit around Yellowstone and soon to be the dunes. And it's gonna be a fun trip. It's gonna be I don't know. I don't know if you really want to see my vacation pics because not everybody gets to go on vacation, and that sucks. I don't want to give people FOMO, but if you want to support my enjoyment of of my own life, then hell yeah, give me a follow, give me some likes. I don't know. Anyway, this episode's fun because I've got our the second ever guest on this podcast, Shane. He makes another appearance, except this time, for the first time, he's on video because he was on the second episode, which was audio only, and then he hit me up a couple weeks ago. It was like, hey man, thinking about doing the pod again. If you're down to have me, and I was like, hell yeah, I need to record some more episodes. I don't have as many in the tank anymore. So then he said, yeah, and my good friend Liam wants to join too. So I was like, oh, hell yeah, let's do another group episode because those are always fun. Hey, Pepper, come on. I'm trying to record this intro here. Pepper, why don't you come here? Say hi to the people. No? All right, she'd rather go through the door than, I don't know, that I totally ruined the setup to that joke. I was gonna try and do some things, Nonagon Infinity related, opening the door. Got a dog. She's cool. Anyway, this is a really fun episode. We talk a lot about things other than Gizz, but also we got into a really fun segment about band names, just hypothetical band names that don't exist, just things that we all come up with on our own, just like, hey, that would be a good band name. This was just a super fun conversation. I think you'll like it. It seems sort of like the podcast is going on to I don't know, it seems as though we're going with the times, adjusting accordingly. It seems like somewhat of a thematical or paradigm shift. I don't know, but I'm kind of liking having these repeat having a repeat guest on because it's I don't know, it's cool. I don't know how to explain it. It's fun. You'll enjoy it. So without further ado, here are Liam and Shane. Cool.
Yeah,
Does that sound all right?
Yeah.
it
Everything
sound pretty
sounds good.
Okay, cool.
Those brand new AirPods, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Must be nice to have yours that they fit in. Yeah, it's like,
There
oh
she
shit!
is. Hello.
Episode's cursed.
Yep.
Anyway, so we're recording now, so we'll get this thing started. So Shane, you were the second ever guest on this podcast back when it was audio only. So thanks for showing your beautiful face now. And Liam, what's your deal? How what's your relation to Shane and Gizz?
I mean, I've known Shane since we were like 13, something like that, maybe even a little earlier. And I mean, we worked together, and we kind of like discovered it at the same time about like a little over a year ago, like almost a year and a half ago, probably.
Uh-huh.
And Shane sort of introduced me to Murder of the Universe, and we listened to that all the way through, like twice, back to back. And then we were like, "This is awesome!" Like, well, what else do they do? And then we looked, and we're like, "They have 9 albums or something." Like, we were we were blown away.
Yeah, back when they were in the single digits.
Yeah, and this cat needs to move.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like I wasn't really into them yet at all. I knew of them, and then we were just kind of like at work, and I was like, oh, there's this crazy band with this weird name that I heard of. Maybe I'll just put them on. And so we kind of like we were both confused together, like, and then it kind of consumed our whole day while we were at work, just like because at the time, you know, our company was super small where we work, and so it was just the two of us, like
Yeah.
there alone, basically all day for like long periods of time, and so we would just kind of listen, like, and be confused and excited together.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it was a good experience.
yeah, because I was about to say, like, throwing on Gizz at work seems risky, but if it's just you guys, then yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it facilitated, you know, like a environment of discovery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there were a lot of days where one of us would come and be like, "Hey, stop what you're doing. Listen to this." And then we just wouldn't do any work for like an hour and a half because we were like, "I found us a new song."
Nice. What kind of work was this?
We
Um,
work at like an engineering company for medical
yeah,
devices, and so
Oh
we're
yeah.
kind of in a lab, like doing like
little
making small
tiny
things, and
small parts, and yeah,
Oh, sick. That's
yeah,
super cool. No, so
yeah,
that's
it's
actually like
fun.
really fascinating to me because it seems like if you're getting into medical engineering, you got to be a pretty creative person, and like yeah, Giz like throws all the they throw out all the stops for like checking yourself and also like inspiring your own creativity. So that's yeah, that makes a
yeah.
lot of sense to
Definitely.
me.
And we
Yeah,
had
and there's no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we had really similar tastes in music beforehand too. We listened
Hmm.
to like almost all the same stuff, like a lot of classic rock and like all sorts of diverse stuff. So
Yeah, it sort of just folded in to like our standard as was already.
Yeah, nice. So Liam, do you also play music or?
I played guitar for years, and then I just sort of stopped. I've never been able to get back into it. It's something I'd like to do at one point, but I can't, in all good conscience, say I still play music.
All right. Well, I appreciate the
Yeah.
honesty.
Liam's an idea man.
Yeah, I
We
draw.
oh
I
so
draw.
Oh,
so
that's badass.
mhm. Our I remember, so for the last episode, you titled it from my band name,
Yeah.
and it was actually me and Liam that came up with it together.
Oh
Liam's
yeah.
kind if I were to make a very you know, lofty comparison, Liam is like the Jason Galea to our
I
band.
dig it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Damn, and the cat's going all over the place. I love it.
Yeah, so
She's
it
nuts.
was a combination. We as a joke, I don't know, we're always like thinking of funny band names.
Yeah.
You should pull out the list, Liam, and read a couple of
Oh
them in a
God.
second. But it was two
Is
separate
this
names,
a
so it was
PG-13?
No,
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 no.
no.
This is a
Okay.
totally
Like,
NC-17 borderline X-rated podcast. So,
all right, for sure. I
So
got some
Dirt
good ones.
Nasty was sort of one name, and then the Deep Sea Daniels was like a separate thing. And then I was reading them through in a list, and then I was they were the last two. So then I was like, oh, Dirt Nasty and the Deep Sea Daniels, and I was like, oh, that has a nice. We should combine it.
yeah.
But yeah, what were some of the other ones, Liam, that we have?
Okay, here, let me see. I hope it doesn't close my Zoom when I do this.
Yeah,
It
it
does a
will
little bit,
it
but
does, but
Okay, now I can
we'll
still
bear
hear
with
you
it.
though.
it'll be worth it,
So
hopefully.
I've got Velvet Foreskin. There's a ska band called Pubic Dread. We got the Go Hole. There's the Funky Daniels are in there. That was a precursor. Chumblemite, Chemical Barbecue, Cow Cannibal, Taint Snake, Clunge.
Taint Snake. That's huge.
Yeah. The Ghost Idiots, um, Beef Wizard, Meat Witch. Oh, Friction Makes Fire, which is actually not a terrible one.
None of us are named Jennifer was a good one.
Yeah, none of us are named Jennifer.
How many of these have you come up? I mean, it seems like you
Not
got
a
dozens.
small
So
amount.
many.
I'm skipping some too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like over the years, we'll just think of some funny shit and put it in the notes. So
Yeah. Oh, Dumbledore's Delight. Dumbledore's Delight's a good
Oh,
one.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, what was the herbaceous what was that one? Herbaceous Delight, maybe that was it.
Herbaceous Delight. It was Herbaceous Delight. Chocolate Fuck.
Chocolate Fuck is a good one.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
can't go wrong with that. That sounds like a. I mean, honestly, that sounds like a really endearing term to call somebody. It's like, it's the chocolate fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
sweet and like
It's like sweet and like
endearing kind of.
yeah,
like
totally.
kind of a fucker. Like you can tell.
Yeah, kind of a fucker, but like the women love him.
Oh yeah.
Especially around that one time when they really crave chocolate. Anyway, I'm
Don't we
done
all?
with the, I'm done with the period jokes. I usually like to have women around when I'm making them. That way, it's like not an echo chamber. But no, I love that you guys come up with all these band names, because I've also got a list that I came up with
Oh yeah.
with coworkers. Same kind of the same deal over the years. Back when I worked at a tech startup.
Oh,
So
nice.
here goes. There's a list of probably 20. I'll list like 10. But there's Acid Vag.
Ooh.
I like that. That's great.
Curmudgeonly Millennial. Duke Nukem and the Space Bar Titties.
Oh, that one's great.
That's good. That's really good.
Pretty solid. That was my friend. So shout out to Mike one time. Beer Pong Grandma. Proto-fascist bullshitters. Irresponsible reach around.
That's great.
Incredulous dildo. The wannabe
All right.
Steves. Textbook
Ooh.
chode. And last but not least, insincere 69.
Oh, insincere.
Yeah.
As if there's any
It
other
paints a
kind.
picture. It paints a picture.
Yeah, right.
Just really reluctant. Getting in there, but no one wants to be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would be like a reluctant 69, but insincere is just like, I'm
That's
doing
true.
this, but like I don't mean it.
Yeah, your heart's just not quite in it.
Yeah, well, and I guess that would mean neither person's heart is in it. If
Mhm.
both
Just
of them
all
are,
around.
yeah, it's just all around insincerity. It's like there are bigger obstacles in the relationship that need to be addressed.
Yeah, before they can have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. Before you get to each other's taints. But anyway. Anyway, so we were talking about Murder of the Universe and fishing for fishies and getting into
Mhm.
that. I almost forgot this is still a Gizz podcast. So yeah, Liam, like, so you mentioned you got into 'em about the same time, a little over a year ago.
Mhm.
What's been sort of like your favorite? I mean, I guess not your favorite sound that they've come out with, but like, what's something that you've been like maybe most fascinated by that you've discovered from Gizz?
At least initially, it's just the fact that they do basically everything, and it still manages to sound not only unique but good. Because you can sound unique and sound like shit.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of groups that do, but everything they put out sounds excellent. Even if it's not like my favorite kind of music, I still I can appreciate it, and it sounds nice. Like I can still listen to it and enjoy it. It's just not maybe my all-time top 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
and I think that's insane because there's maybe like David Bowie and like that might be it. Like, you know,
In terms of other
that's
artists
another
that
group that can
have
do that.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
like a flawless track record. There's no one else that has that. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean the Beatles were pretty good like that, but
The
you know,
Beatles are great, yeah, but like
but yeah,
there's a couple songs.
I mean they definitely didn't go as hard. The Beatles didn't do a thrash metal album,
Yeah.
or even a. I actually no, you know what? I was about to say they never even did a prog rock album, but kind of the medley on Abbey Road is sort of proggy in a way. It's
Yeah.
like, or at least it's it's a sequence of types, but
Yeah. No, I can see that. They're definitely in a similar vein. It's just it's such a wide swath of genres that they deal with.
yeah. I do like that the Bowie comparison though, because like I've yet to really get into Bowie, but I've heard I've heard a few of the albums. I mean, Black Star, this last one,
That's amazing.
oddly enough, that was the album that got me into Bowie.
oh,
Oh wow.
And yeah, like I had heard a few songs before, and I was like, I can see that he's great, but it's just not my style. But then
Yeah.
like Black Star, he laid it all on the line. Like he knew he was dying,
Mhm.
and it was just like, and basically to see like here's the final product that he knew he was putting out. I was like, okay, that's just such a challenging thing to tackle. And then he just did it, and the songs are beautiful. The lyrics are cutting, and like, yeah, it really sort of opened my eyes to like how great Bowie is.
Yeah.
yeah. He really reinvents himself a lot of times in his, I mean, literally with his different characters. Just also such a fascinating guy. But if you ever want to maybe feel better about yourself, listen to his first album, because it is bad. His very first album, it's extraordinarily strange, and I think
what's the
not
title?
in a good way.
Oh God,
man,
I can't remember.
I think it's self-titled. I'll pull it up really quick.
Yeah, he just has no idea what he's doing with it. There's like he's so out there.
Yeah, it's self-titled.
Yeah,
1967. It's like it's like sort of like he's trying to do like a Beatles things, but he was on a lot of mushrooms, and so it gets odd.
Yeah,
and like manic kind of pop, like a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean that's how I would describe a lot of his, to the untrained ear. Like to me, it kind of sounds like manic pop, which is, that hasn't been anything I've considered getting into until maybe recently. But yeah, I dig
makes me
it.
think of Pi too. Now that I think about it, Pi is pretty
His first
similar
album
to that.
definitely has a little bit of a Pi thing going on.
That's fascinating. All right,
Yeah,
I'm really intrigued.
It's just like it's kind of discordant and like it's almost a little creepy. Like it's like eerie. It's really weird, just the way it's all put together.
It's just
and a couple
big
of the songs
surprise
just don't
that
sound good. Yeah.
It's a big surprise that he just went on to have the career that he did after that. Like whoever, I don't know what the story is there, but whoever saw like the talent in him at that point, I think deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah. I mean, I think, well, I honestly have no idea. Like the Bowie history. I like the most I know about history and David Bowie is that he basically, saved and resurrected Iggy Pop.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And like, because Iggy and the Stooges fucking badass, but kind of flew off the rails after the Stooges broke up, and yeah, and like Bowie apparently had just been a huge Stooges fan, like they were influential, so he was like, yeah, you want to come collaborate, and he
had to teach him how to make money on music, basically, because the Stooges were broke their entire career, and were like selling their musical equipment to get heroin and stuff like that. And so David Bowie was like, hey, Iggy Pop, come to Berlin with me. Let's make some music, and I'll teach you how to be successful, basically, which is really cool. But yeah, we talk shit on Bowie, but we both love him a lot. It's endearing. We're not saying that he's bad or anything.
Oh no, totally. I mean that's like this whole podcast is basically a big Gizzard shit post. Like I talk shit. I'll talk. We talk shit about everything in this pod, and mean nothing bad by any of it. But but at the same time, anybody who might be offended by a hot take or something, maybe look at why you're offended by that, and you might find some deeper seated meaning. Some stuff you got to work out yourself. But I don't know what I'm going to ask next.
I have a good one. Speaking of hot takes, I saw a really in-depth, heated discussion on the Facebook. Is Sketches jazz or not? People have strong feelings about this. And I was on one side. I was a very staunch Sketches is not jazz. Sketches is probably my favorite album overall, maybe. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think it's jazz. But I got convinced a little bit. I think maybe it is.
I mean, here's the thing. I think it definitely is jazz, and I also think everything. I think life is jazz. That was a very profound notion I got on mushrooms, and basically like I figured like, hey, wait, everything's going on around. There are so many different polyrhythms and everything, and basically it's all jazz. Like everything that's going on in the world, whether it's a nuke being dropped or somebody getting pulled over at the same time, like it's all happening at the same time. It's all part of this one collective thing. That's basically what jazz is, right?
Yeah,
it's true. You don't even need instruments to make jazz, really.
No.
I took some jazz classes where the professor was known for playing the balloon.
I'll be damned. But yeah, I mean, but you look back at the cavemen and like Neanderthals, and they were making music. That was all jazz. So in actuality, jazz is the longest tenured, like that's the most I guess if the universe is jazz, then that's kind of inherent that jazz is the longest lasting music genre.
I think if you boil it down, jazz is all that separates us from primates.
It's just jazz.
It's holding civilization together.
Yeah, basically that's I like that. This episode is gonna piss a lot of people off, I feel like, because whenever any sort of jazz head gives like a take on like like basically an interdimensional step while still talking about jazz, it really pisses a lot of people off. Like it's because it is insufferable on many levels, and I get that, but
yeah,
at the same time, like, you can't deny all the different parts moving at their own pace and making this this beautiful thing we call life.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Maybe Gizz should do a death metal or like a thrash jazz album.
That would be awesome. Honestly, I'll listen to anything they put out at this point.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. They've shown that they can tackle any genre and basically anything at this point. I'm ready for whatever they throw out.
Yeah, well, before you joined the call, Shane and I were talking about Mad Max and like how maybe Gizz could do some kind of, well, I guess about how somebody had edited Mad Max to Road Train.
To make
it work.
It's amazing.
Yeah, fantastic idea, and pretty well executed. And it just got me thinking, like, what if we saw like sort of a revisit to Eyes Like the Sky, but with like way more psych, way more thrash distortion, but at the same time still sort of have like that surfy kind of spaghetti western refrain,
like more like a doom.
That'd be really
like
incredible.
Slower doom, like western. That would be pretty.
Yeah, a doom western. Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
I think that. Yeah, God, that'd be so sick. Because then there actually could be a legitimate movie around it too.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing. I always think it's amazing how like Simon and Garfunkel made these albums around films and for films, and they are still perfectly listenable just as songs. You can't really tell that they're like soundtracks.
Huh. I actually didn't know that they made music for films.
Oh, Mrs. Robinson, everything on that album, Sound of Silence, I think, as well,
Mm-hmm.
practically is from the movie The Graduate with Dustin
Wow.
Hoffman. And
That's
Mrs. Robinson is one of the characters in that movie.
Okay. Yeah.
And you never know. Like,
I never knew. I love Simon
exactly.
Garfunkel. I had no idea about their thematic stuff.
Yeah. But I'd love to see Gizz do something like that because I'm sure they'd hit it out of the park on the same level. Like there's no doubt that they'd. Huh?
Yeah.
That the movie soundtrack. I don't know much about that, but they did a movie soundtrack to an already
I didn't know about
existing
that.
movie.
Oh yeah. Okay, I heard
Oh.
something about that. I don't know if it was told to me on this podcast or if it was or if I saw it somewhere else. But yeah, I forgot what movie that was.
I think I heard it on your podcast from someone else. I think it's an old classic horror movie that they made a score to it, and then they did like a showing somewhere. I wish I lived in Australia.
Yeah, right. Oh my god.
You told me about that, Shane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've never heard about that.
I mean, that'd be cool to see. It would actually be cool to see like them play the soundtrack live to the film. Is that what they did, or was it just like?
So.
Oh my god,
That'd be
that's
crazy.
too cool. Yeah, that's insane. I would love to see. I mean, shit, like Gizz could just play a drive-in movie, like could do it.
There's people doing like drive-in concerts where everyone stays in their car.
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
And supposedly, like, did you hear about the Chainsmokers concert that happened out in the Hamptons, Long Island?
Nope.
They did a drive-in show, where it was like that was supposed to be what it was, but as you'll have it with kids, rich kids in the Hamptons, they don't really grow up following rules. So it just became like a social distancing nightmare. And like, yeah, I think that happened like a week ago or something. And like, yeah, it's really fucked up the, like the local politics there, but
yeah. The world is a very different place from when, I talked to you last.
Yeah.
That was like what we referred to as like the fun stage of quarantine.
Yeah, that was April. That was still April,
Yeah.
and it was
new and exciting.
Yeah.
The honeymoon phase.
It was totally the honeymoon phase. Like other people were having, like a lot of people were having a hard time adjusting to it, but I was loving it because like finally I was able to just focus on my creative shit and nothing else because I legally wasn't able to.
Yeah,
and
it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
At the beginning, before all the people started to die.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and just with the ensuing policy decisions that have been made, and oh my god, what a fucking disaster.
I get so worked up when I start talking about it. I can't do it for more than like 5-minute bursts.
Oh yeah, and I definitely don't want to turn this into an episode of like, hey, guess what? CNN is going to be syndicated on this podcast as well. So
yeah,
but yeah. So I guess I forget, Shane. Have you seen Gizzard live?
Yeah, we saw them together once at the Greek.
Okay,
this past year,
and it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, which right, I was at that show too.
Yeah, you were there.
Oh,
yeah,
that
was a great show. Holy shit,
so
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I remember because it's like I was, I guess, in like toward the back of the show, like of the seating, like I was basically at the top of the amphitheater, and yeah, so like I was kind of bummed out by that the show wasn't sold out. It was like I don't know where you guys were standing or sitting, but
We were kind of in the middle.
We were pretty far, but we were like in the upper middle. Like we were pretty far back still.
yeah. Yeah, it was I mean it was such a great show, and like I just wished it had been totally packed, you know, just
Yeah.
because like when I saw them I guess when I saw them in Seattle, I think that show was sold out, and like that was just it was nuts, you know. It was like in the Paramount Theater, and yeah. Anyway, it's just different when there's when like the music is insulated by so many people standing around,
and the indoor and like a standing venue where you get to go crazy. And
yeah, but I mean, like even outdoor venues, like when they're sold out, like the I don't know if they sold out the Central Park show last summer, but in New York, but I was there too, and it was I mean that was packed. Like that was cool because it was pretty small. I think they have like maybe 10,000 capacity in the Central Park summer stage, but
a lot of people.
It's a lot of people, but I think it's I want to say that's less than the Greek, in terms of capacity.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
because the Greek's that full shape. It probably I would hold more.
Yeah, I mean the Greek definitely sounded the best of any of any of the concerts I went to.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I mean just because like amphitheaters are just perfect for acoustics and everything. Yeah, the theater show was a little, it got a little too noisy, just because of all the echo but
okay.
Yeah, but so actually, you guys are the first people I've talked to on this podcast since Honey came out. So yeah, what's your take on what was your initial take on Honey, and how does your opinion now differ?
I love it.
I think it's great.
Yeah. Someone put up a bass cover on YouTube like that day or the next day, and I learned it, and it's got some really, really awesome bass. And I like the more kind of mellow approach than some of the other microtonal stuff. I don't know. I guess we don't know what the rest of the album is going to be like, but yeah, it's great. Nothing wrong with it at all.
Yeah, I have no complaints. I've only listened to it a few times, but it's similar. Like I just prefer it to some of the other microtonal stuff. I think it's just like got a really, really nice just overall vibe, like flow to it.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was I mean, because it basically was that perfect mix of like fishies and then also obviously Flying Microtonal Banana. Like I was gonna say paper mache, but it didn't really seem to fit in that vibe at all. Like there was. It seemed like something that you'd be playing on a riverbank or something,
Yeah, I definitely get the fishies comparison. It like just in tone, not even necessarily musically, but like the way the vocals are done, and
the vocals sound like real shiny, kind of like
yeah. In a way, it kind of seems like to me, it seems like you could throw Honey just before. Like you could possibly, this is a hot take for me. You could switch out this thing with Honey, I think, on Fishing for Fishies, and have
Ocarine?
have that lead into Akron. And then,
absolutely agree.
Wow.
Or just after this thing. Like I love that song. I wouldn't want to get rid of it, but I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Like it sounds very similar.
Yeah, I mean, just in the tone and like the theme of it is just like, because I guess my interpretation of Honey is like, the world around us is like basically fucked, but whoever he's talking to is like a really sweet person or a sweet concept, or just like maybe he's writing the song about love itself, and just like, hey, as long as you know, as long as you're around, whoever you are, life is bearable and sometimes pretty great. So
Yeah.
I felt like that would be a perfect way to sort of, segue into, about a song about a bee respiratory disease. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, all the bees. The next album is going to be about all the bees dying, I
Yeah.
think, and destroying our whole ecosystem because of
Yeah.
it.
It would
I
be kind of in
also,
line with Fishies too,
mhm.
at least the beginning.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
also think
definitely.
we haven't had a really classic, like straight 7/4 song in a bit. I think
Yeah,
because this one feels like really just solid, like classic seven.
yeah,
And
I kind of got that feeling as well. Like it just kind of went back to the Gizz roots, I guess. Um,
mhm.
yeah, because it did seem as though, and I think Stu even said so himself, that Infest the Rat's Nest was sort of uh, like a diversion uh, from the Gizz verse. Like it sort of existed outside of it or parallel to. Um, and yeah, so I guess like being so hung up on Rat's Nest for the longest time sort of made me forget in a way. Like, hey, we're gonna go back to the the whole
Hmm.
everything's tied in together and uh yeah.
What a diversion, though! Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean it was a great detour. I
The same thing kind of happened to me when Rat's Nest came out, and I was like, started to listen to other stuff, and I was like, oh right, they have all this other music that I haven't been listening to the last couple of weeks.
yeah.
That album's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, and like
Old
I'm not
Infest the
even
Rat's Nest is amazing.
yeah. I mean it was so cool to me because I liked it for the same reason that I guess you like Giz in the first place is like I liked it because it was so different and then it
Hmm.
was executed especially well while also still like you could still tell it was Giz because
Yep.
you're not gonna hear that kind of delay effect on like Mastodon or some kind of I mean that was just the first metal band that come to mind but
Yeah.
Iron Maiden or something.
yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway,
I
we've got
agree.
about 5.5 minutes before we wrap up, before we get cut off. But so I figure we should go to like some final thoughts. I guess we'll start with Liam. Anything that's been on your mind, Giz related, that you haven't that we haven't talked about yet?
Not particularly. Actually, the thing that was on my mind most was how honey could fit somewhere into Fishies. I was thinking about that earlier.
Oh yeah, and then I just
Yeah.
happened to mention it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna bring that up if no one else did. Um,
Where did you think it should go on Fishies?
I wasn't sure where it should go. I just think it reminds me of Ocarine and Fishing for Fishies. If those two songs sort of met in the middle,
Hmm.
it's something in between though, and it's got the microtonal stuff, but they really line up with each other. Those three.
Yeah, and actually, come to think of it, with the microtonal stuff. I wonder if this entire album isn't going to be microtonal. Like if they're just going to have some microtonal songs on it, which even though, Gumboot Soup wasn't so much of a thematic album as much as it was just like the, uh, the fat that was cut off the others. Um,
Hmm.
like there were still two microtonal songs on it. And
Yeah,
like, we might see some, like not totally microtonal albums.
And not
that would
everything
be
on
cool.
FMB is microtonal. There's some that it's just normal.
Really? Which ones?
I don't know if there's any off the top of my head. I don't know if there's any songs that have no microtonal, but I know a lot of some of the melodies, like a lot of Nuclear Fusion. I think there's only a couple microtonal
Oh yeah, I
spots
know.
in
I
there.
see what you're saying. Yeah,
Okay,
like
yeah,
like they didn't go so like super heavy on the microtonal
yeah. It
stuff.
wasn't overkill.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, that was
Yeah,
kind of a
definitely.
refresher too. Uh,
Hmm.
because like the first time before I knew what a microtone was, and I heard FMB, I was like, wait, why are they? So they're just playing out of tune guitars? Like that's what they're going. It seems interesting, but weird, and I don't know why I like this so much. And
Hmm.
um, yeah, but Anyway, but yeah, we've got 3 minutes now. So, Shane, what thoughts you got?
This is not super Gizz related, but I was wondering if you know of the Big Les show.
It sounds familiar, but I do not know. I cannot say.
So it's
So
kind
good.
of I don't know, culturally related. It's this Australian made animated show that was
Mhm.
coming out on YouTube, and it's something that I came across, some friend showed to me, and it's like I think it's like a big cultural thing in Australia, but that was something that me and Liam were both pretty into
Mhm.
before we found Gizz, and it's a
Uh-huh.
really, I would like
The
very
stars kind
very
of
highly
align.
suggest it. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like a cultural like lining up where like we got into Gizz and then we're like, oh, they're Australian, like okay, this makes sense, we have like a basis for this kind of like crazy
Yeah,
shit, I guess.
that's
Yeah, I would
sick.
definitely say check that out.
Yeah. So what's the show consist of? Like, what's the basic premise? Is there one?
Yeah,
So
so
there's
it's
like 3 seasons, right, or 4 seasons technically.
Hmm.
But
yeah, I think so. So
the
it
first
starts
one is a
off,
bunch of like 3-minute little like animations. So they start off
Okay.
really short and like
and they're just
minimal.
like, you know, really crude, like no kind of plot line.
Wait, is
And
this
then it,
the series that Joey did like some like he was involved in the making of, like, for at least like one part?
I don't
I think Joey did like music for something.
I don't
Um,
think so.
I'm not sure. I think it's just mostly one dude, Jared Wright.
Yeah, he does the music for it as well, actually, which he has some of the songs from the soundtrack on Spotify, which are pretty cool.
yeah.
But it kind of starts out with really like no plot, just
It's this dude smoking
joking
weed with a
around.
bunch of Sasquatches.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna
and
get
then
cut off real quick.
all
Oh,
right,
okay.
So
check it out.
yeah, we'll check out the Big Les show, guys. Thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, I
All
had a
right, yeah,
great
thanks,
time.
man. Thanks for having
All
us.
right, take it easy, guys.